Hello, beautiful soul family.
Hi, everyone.
We took a bit of a break and we're back. We are feeling super recharged. And although we're on vacation in Mexico, we have been through a lot in the last few days and we have so much to share with you guys. It hasn't been a walk in the park. We're feeling the collective fatigue. We're feeling what everyone's going through, and it is getting very, very intense on planet Earth right now. And we've been connecting with some very high beings of light for the very first time, and I want to share some of that info with you. And these beings are the priests of ATLA-RA from the times of Atlantis, and they have been with us in our ancient past, almost 25,000 years ago, and they are now connecting back with us and reminding us who we are. So before we go into this update, I just want to say that everyone is going through a lot right now, and it feels like it's getting unbearable on planet Earth, and this is all part of the process. So hang in there. There's a lot of support. We just need to focus on our ascension. We need to take away our attention from the chaos of the 3D as much as possible, and that's what these beings were reminding us of. So what happened last night was I was waking up at 3 a.m. and many of you mentioned as a response to the energy update I made that when times are this intense, we're woken up, even people who never wake up, who are like solid sleepers. And that's been happening to a lot of us. And I was woken up at 3 a.m. last night.
For the past few nights.
Since July 3rd, we've been just bombarded with these very high frequency gamma waves, and I was shown that we are sustaining a 5D gamma wave frequency for sustained periods of time. So before it was like a one pulse of gamma waves that shifted us into the 40 hertz range frequency, and that's 40 hertz is the baseline for 5D. But right now, the way it's going is that the baseline of 5D frequencies is becoming our kind of like foundation. So it's not our peak anymore, it's becoming like our plateau. So we're shifting higher and higher in vibration, and we're slowly seeing these 5D frequencies. And for a lot of us, this can feel like chaos, and it can feel like confusion. It can feel like families are drifting apart. It can feel like loved ones are drifting apart. It can feel like relationships are drifting apart. And we're not feeling the same anymore because we are not the same. We are literally shifting, we are ascending, and we are becoming our higher selves. So it's natural for a lot of us to go out of resonance with our 3D reality that no longer resonates with our current reality, and that's all okay. So instead of going into fear, we're being shown that we have to focus on moving forward and keep letting go of resistance, be fearless in letting go of all the things that are not resonating with you. So I was contacted with these beings who call themselves the Golden Race, and they're also members of the Tall White Race. And these beings introduced themselves as the priests and priestesses of ATLA-RA. And this is like ancient Atlantis knowledge that's being reactivated in our auras. And a lot of us, as we ascend, will begin to remember our ancient past from Atlantis. And that's one of the reasons that when we connect with you guys, we feel such a familiarity with you guys. And that's because we all have been together. This is not the first time that we're connected. We've all met each other. We've all worked together in past epochs of time in Atlantis and Lemuria. So when we are awakening, when we're reconnecting, this is all part of our collective soul agreement to reconnect on Earth at this very pivotal moment in time, because we have so much work to do, and this is going to be a very exciting phase if and only if we learn how to focus away from the chaos and move inward and focus on creating our vision of new Earth. So these beings, which introduced themselves as the priest of ATLA-RA, they showed me visions of Atlantis where I was a crystal master and working with advanced healing technologies
Even there, he was a nerd. He was a geek. He was a
always
scientist, a crystal
I've always been a
scientist.
nerd.
You got a really like fun girl for a nerd.
Yeah, she balances out my serious side, so that's perfect. She showed me how to loosen up, so
Let your hair down, as Metatron says.
yeah, Metatron always jokes with me. He's like, Siman, you need to let your hair down every once in a while. I'm like, perfect. That should be easy. So they reminded me that a lot of us beings a lot of us light workers who are reconnecting with each other, we've all had these ascended roles in times of Atlantis. And we did advanced work with the Arcturians, with the Pleiadians, with the Syrians, and so many races. There's tens of thousands of races. I'm just counting the ones on our fingertips that we're just beginning to connect with. And they're also showing us that there is so much work to do, because all the technologies that we used to work with in Atlantis are going to start channeling back to planet Earth. And the way this is working is that these beings, the tall whites and the golden race, are sending very high frequency gamma waves to Earth's atmosphere, and they're sending these frequencies directly to certain node points and volcanoes and rivers and ley lines. And that's why we're seeing so many new natural anomalies, like electrical thunderstorms that just don't seem normal. They literally seem like it's like out of a sci-fi film when you see some of the clips that are on the net these days. And UFOs have also been reported to be sending beams of light into all of these portals and specific node points of planet Earth. And they showed me that the reason they're doing this is because all of Earth's chakras are now going to shift. So for those of you who are not aware, just how we have chakras, Earth also has chakras. And Earth is realigning its electromagnetic grid because the 5D frequency of Earth is being laid down. The whole network of 5D frequencies is being laid down, and all the ley lines that have been misused in past by the dark beings, they're all going to shift, and the new chakra points and node alignments are going to align with the current star map that is in our galaxy right now. The current ley lines and energetic patterns are completely out of date. So this is also causing there are 12 node points within planet Earth that have underground gigantic crystals from the time of Atlantis, and all of these crystals are now being reactivated, and that is what's causing all of our ancient knowledge to come back to our forefront. So many of us who've done a lot of the clearing of our chakras and a lot of our trauma work has been handled, we're going to start remembering all these exciting things that we did with these advanced beings from advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And we're going to be channeling a lot of these technologies and bringing them back to Earth. And
we were just shown this last night, by the way, so it's super, super fresh.
Yeah.
That we're bringing back some of these crystal technologies, these galactic technologies.
Yeah, so just a reminder to not focus on the chaos and the confusion, because all of the chaos and confusion is for the 3D folks who are still unaware that Earth is going through a shift. All of it's like a play that is playing out around you, but you're not a part of that play. You can observe it, but you cannot participate in it because you are no longer an actor of this 3D matrix. You've literally been extracted. So imagine all of the light workers are now in pockets, are now in bubbles of light, and we are no longer, we're protected in a 5D frequency. We're no longer a part of this chaos. Although it seems like we want to participate in the chaos sometimes, and sometimes we get pulled into the negativity of the people around us. But this is all happening to purge Earth of all of this darkness once and for all.
And I'll give you a super amazing example. Guys, I have a lot to say, but I want to pitch into what he just said. I was also shown that in Atlantis, all these memories are just being, instilled back in us. I was shown that I was a priestess of the temple of the divine feminine, and that I was in charge of the kids, the children. It was such a beautiful vision, and that when the children, like when Atlantis sank, I was the last ones, and I was crying and I was singing. Very angelic vocals.
All
lang syne. Have you guys heard that? Should all acquaintance be forgotten and never brought to none. I don't know the words. An old lang syne. So that song, they showed us all of that. Back to what Siman was saying. We're in a resort right now. We're on a vacation, on a so-called vacation. I'll tell you about all the stuff we've been up to. The last 3 days has not felt like a vacation at all. We are surrounded by people that are unconscious, completely unconscious, walking around. And we are literally being shown. Last night we went to a hibachi restaurant for dinner. We were 10 of us at the hibachi restaurant, and Siman and I were in our own bubble. We don't really want to make small talk with these tourists. So basically we're being shown that it's not just a choice that we're not wanting to make small talk. We are in a separate reality within the video game.
Yeah.
It's as tangible as that. So really soak this in. We are playing, you and I, we're all operating in a completely different frequency, in a completely parallel frequency in the same video game. So they have no resonance with us and we have no resonance with them. It's not a matter of division, it's a matter of frequency. And Siman was actually shown a super amazing vision while we were having dinner. Tell them about how you were shown.
Yeah, so in our dinner last night, I was literally shown as if, that scene from the Titanic where everyone's dancing and everyone's joyful one moment, and the next moment the whole ship is sinking, and those scenes of dancing are just seem like ghosts, and it just seems like past
Actors.
memories, and it almost feels like unreal. And the next moment it was like the ship was sinking. But in this case, Earth is ascending. And it was shown to me that the people who are around us in our reality, many of the people are not going to be coming into New Earth because they have soul contracts.
And it was shown that they will simply disappear from our reality. That was the exact way it was shown. So they were saying literally take in this 3D, like really, like we're like in a resort. Sometimes we like to go play in 3D to kind of stay current with 3D because otherwise we're in our own 5D bubble. And our guide said, Siman and Eldora, take this in because it's not going to be around very long. Exactly. And it wasn't a fear-based guidance. There's nothing to fear. It literally said all of a sudden this density, this dense matrix, we will just shift in vibration and we'll just shift out of it. What happens to them, we don't know. What happens to us, they won't know. But it'll just be a shift. So keep vibrating at your frequency. And that is why many of you I feel like are having an upheaval of sorts in your lives. We've been through that upheaval 2 years ago, 1 year ago. So we're done with our upheaval. We're done with all our 3D tethers. Actually 99% of our 3D tethers are done. They're behind us. And we're in a very calm part of the ocean right now. However, they were showing us how this upheaval that many of you are facing in your lives is because you're not meant to be in the same video game as those vibrating third dimensional frequencies. You're not meant to. It's not by design. So by design, every aspect of your lives, and we're also being shown that, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's an accountant, whether it's someone working for you, whether it's your boss, someone you're working for, whether it's a healer you're seeing, all aspects of your lives, the guides are saying, have to vibrate the levels of integrity, the levels of love, the levels of awakened consciousness that you are moving towards. So I'll say that again. Yeah. Take a checklist of your lives, of all aspects of your lives, and literally write down what aspects of my life are still vibrating stress. Even if it's a web developer you're dealing with and that web developer is completely asleep, it's time to end that contract and say, okay, I need to find a more awake developer.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you one small example, but look at this in all aspects of your life.
It doesn't mean that every single person that you deal with in your life has to be awakened.
It's not about awakened at all.
But it's just that when there's too much of a vibrational gap, then there's going to be like this friction and tension, and it becomes very obvious that you need to let go of these relationships. It could be anyone in your life.
And guys, as he said, they don't have to be awakened, but like we have a few web developers we work with, but I'm just giving this as an example, but some of them are completely asleep, but they're easy to work with. They're positive, they're friendly, They get it, they have common sense, they have a level of intelligence that we all can resonate with. So if you continue investing in dense pockets in your friendships, in your work, in your anything, even in the grocery stores that you shop in. See the frequency of the grocery stores you shop in. See the frequency of the places you eat in. All of these have to come into alignment right now. That's a very, very strong message coming in. Otherwise, it'll start getting very rocky, very turbulent, and then it'll just feel like a hurricane. So right now you're being prepared for the storm that comes ahead and says, hey, it's going to get super easy. Just align more and more with ease and positivity and frequency. Make sure all your dealings with people are frequency based.
Yeah. And it was also shown to me that in times of Atlantis, we were attempting to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. So in the times of Atlantis, we were already ascended to the state that we are currently. Like myself and Eldora are vibrating at a frequency that most of the population was at the times of Atlantis. And many of us are clearing all of our karmic debris and reaching this like moment of clarity. It's called the compression breakthrough. When you let go of all your implants, devices, all the things that have been placed in you energetically to keep you down, hold you into this 3D matrix. When you do enough of your healing work, when you let go of enough of your traumas, you're suddenly going to have an explosion of light and all of your cells come alive. And in the times of Atlantis, about 25,000 years ago, so there's the 25,000 years is called a yuga. And the yuga is split into 180 degrees of darkness and 180 degrees of ascension. So we're just coming out of the 180 degrees of the Kali Yuga of the last 25,000 years. And we're now currently entering into Aquarius rising. So all of us light workers, and I was shown that there's 200 million starseeds present on Earth who were here in the times of Atlantis. And when Atlantis was on the verge of ascending, what happened was that there were also a lot of people who had gone into extreme darkness. So there were many polarities. Atlantis was not all love and light. There was extreme darkness and extreme light. So these priests of ATLA-RA, they were fully activated 12-strand avatar beings, which means they were physically present on Earth, but their bodies were so vibrating so high that they were able to connect with all 12 densities at the same time. So there's a difference between dimensions and densities. Dimensions are all existing one above each other, but the densities of consciousness are when we raise our awareness, we reach a new density of consciousness. So most of the light workers who are here now are just vibrating in 4D consciousness, and the people who are unawakened are vibrating in 3D consciousness. And we're now shifting as we clear all of our karmic debris, as we clear all of the old attachments from the matrix and all of our old addictions and patterns are let go of, then we're simply going to float above. Those are the only tethers holding us back. So it's just a matter of how much you're focusing on letting go of your tethers. So in the previous yuga, 25,000 years ago, Atlantis was attempting the same ascension that we're going through now. But the dark forces at that time were able to maneuver things in a way that they got all the power in their hands, and they misused a lot of the technologies that were being shared with humanity for benevolent purposes, and they used it to attempt to gain control over the entire planet. But because they didn't know how to work with all these advanced Arcturian crystal technologies, the misuse of those technologies caused a huge cataclysmic destruction, and we were not able to ascend. And that caused all of humanity, all the light workers who were about to ascend, they suddenly descended into an age of darkness. So now, because we're so foolhardy, because we're so adamant that we don't give up that easily, 200 million starseeds who were present in the times of Atlantis, and many of you listening are part of that family. That's why we're the first wave who are awakening, because we coded ourselves for this time to come alive and meet each other and to assist all of humanity to ascend again. So 200 million of us at that time we took a vow that we're not going to give up. This is not over yet. We're not going to let Earth get destroyed, even though it requires humongous sacrifice on our part to go through another 25,000 year cycle and thousands of years of darkness and so much oppression. But we decided we're going to stick it out. We're going to stay with humanity. And many of our star families who were already vibrating above 5D and above, they evacuated from Earth and they took off into their spaceships, but they never left Earth. So they've been with us for the last 25,000 years, holding space for us. They sent all the prophets down to Earth to attempt to awaken humanity, and all of these attempts were tried to be distorted by the Dark Ones. And now we're coming back to that point when we are able to ascend again. And this time we will be successful because we've already reached the point of no return. And we've already, I've been shown, reached a vibration that we held in Atlantis. And now nothing can stop us. So all of this chaos and confusion looks like, what is he talking about? We're like in such a 3D dense planet, like how are we ascending? But when you focus on the vibration of these 200 million light workers who are able to hold the 5D frequencies for sustained periods of time, and I'm not saying we're 5D all the time, we go through ascension and descension, but for most of the time, these starseeds they have a soul contract to raise their vibration. And many of you are part of that. So we're able to sustain our 5D frequencies for long enough that the rest of humanity is going to kind of ride our coattails and ascend with us. So this is a very exciting time because we're going to right all the wrongs that were done in the past.
So beautiful. I love that. I love that. So guys, we have a few things to say, but I just want to share with you something very personal that Siman and I are both going through. And I'm going to try not to get emotional through this, because the collective, we totally feel the collective exhaustion. Don't be fooled by how bright and shiny and sparkly Siman and I look today, because just as of yesterday, as of day before yesterday, you guys won't even believe the kind of stuff we've been through. Many of you know that I have been going through some major root chakra clearing, healing for the past 3 months. And I don't often share about it. I don't talk about it, but this is very painful stuff. And I shared it with you in my Mother's Day video that it turned into an abscess. I mean, I don't want to get too gory here. Nothing crazy, but painful. I've been through a lot of pain in the last 3 months. We came to Mexico 3 days ago, wanting to celebrate the launch of our psychic protection course. And it has not been a vacation whatsoever for the past 3 days, but we're literally putting on our shiny coats and saying, okay, we've got this. And we weren't like this just yesterday. So the last 3 days, we've actually, believe it or not, spent in the General Hospital of Mexico, as crazy as that sounds, because I've been through so many antibiotics, and I'm going to get to how pertinent this is for all of you in a second. But I've been on so many antibiotics, and I don't even take medication. So I've been worried about my stomach, back-to-back antibiotics to subside this abscess. And so anyway, I got to Mexico, and it's very funny how the guides orchestrated this whole thing, that I came to Mexico, and that very day I realized that this has turned into something called a fistula. For those of you who are in the medical field, many of you may know what a fistula is, but it's a little bit of a complication that requires surgery, and it's very painful. So the first 2 days we got a fistulography. Siman was giving me healings back to back, 3 healings a day. We weren't getting the root cause of this, because in spirituality, you have to get to the root cause of the problem, and we're experts at that. Yet for the last 3 months, we weren't able to get to the root cause of this, because we feel like it was all culminating to be healed and released in Mexico, as crazy as that sounds. So anyway, the first day we went to the hospital, I got all these crazy tests done, and it was very overwhelming for me. I was in a lab. They wouldn't let him come in, with 2 big ass males, probing all my private parts. And it was very intimidating. And I felt very strongly the presence of 3 fathers. I felt Sanat Kumara, I felt Jesus Christ, and I felt Metatron. And they had that fatherly love enveloping me. And I kept hearing the words, I am Divine Mother and I will not be disrespected, and there will be no disrespect. And the two nurses taking care of me were very respectful to my boundaries and whatnot. It was a very spiritual experience for me. And it really, so that was the first day of our Mexico vacation. Yesterday, was it just yesterday? Oh yeah, we went to meet the general surgeon because I did a CT scan in addition to the fistulography. We went to meet the general surgeon, and when we were sitting at the gym, this was just yesterday, you guys. This is how quickly things change once you get the message. And the surgeon literally said to us, he said, all right, you can come in on Thursday. We'll do a little surgery on you. And you have about 4 to 6 weeks of recouping. And a year from, so anyway, long story short, something happened in that consultation room where we just got the message that, you know what, ask him what he would do if he were you. So I said to the doctor, I said to the surgeon, what would you do if you were me? Would you recommend this surgery? Is there no other way? Because you have to understand, we also have a very strong backing in energy healing. Like, I feel like we have the best energy healing in the world. Like between us and our guides, energy healing is our go-to. So it was very interesting for us that we had to go back into the medical field, which it was very strange. And we weren't getting any messages from our guides at that point. The doctor said, you know what, there's one little complication. If you don't do it now, he says, if I were you, to answer your question, I wouldn't do it now, but I would wait for 6 months, even with the discomfort, even with the pain, even with the antibiotics. I would wait for about 6 months. Because actually, no, he said I would wait for about 8 months because we need to see if it connects to some other organ in the body, because then we'll have to do another surgery, and you might as well save yourself that. You might as well just do one surgery now. Right when he said that, and then he says, let me just go down and look at the picture, grab the pictures of your fistulography and your CT scan and come back. And that was when our guides gave us the message. The message was, Eldora, we've been trying to tell you, your body has been trying to talk to you since Thailand. This was 4 years ago on my 40th birthday, that you need to change your diet. You need to get more fiber. You need to eat more greens. You need to eat more veggies. You need to drink a lot more water than you are, because you guys, Siman and you and many of you watching, are on a rapid ascension path. We don't have time to fool around, and your bodies are not being supported the way your bodies need to be supported. And I was like completely in a very like a lot of trauma vibration, and he's been giving me a lot of trauma healings. That's why we were brought to Mexico, because on the ascension path, you can't take any traumas with you, especially people like us who are on a very rapid ascension path and who are here as the ascended masters for humanity in the future now moments. We have a huge role to play, you guys. So we were given the message that I had a lot of trauma from past lifetimes about being ripped off in a foreign country, which is why that trauma had to surface, which it did day before yesterday. So Siman cleared that trauma through energy healing. So that was the first step. Had this been revealed to me in Costa Rica, I wouldn't have had that trauma because Costa Rica I consider home. I consider Mexico a rip-off city, but it's not that at all. It was just my trauma playing out. In fact, the Mexican doctors were amazing. Like, they were phenomenal. So the first thing was the trauma healing.
Yeah.
Then when I was at the doctor's office, we got this message about my gut and all of that. And it had to get to a point where I was at my lowest. Like, if you don't be fooled by how I look today and how Siman looks today. We've
been through hell.
We were
feeling like crap just until yesterday.
I've been crying the last 2 days. Siman's been giving me 4 healings a day. We've been like, and because we couldn't get the message. We didn't get the message. And usually we get the message like this. And you know why we didn't get the message? It wasn't potent yet. So when we were in that surgeon's office and we were given the shock that I have to go through a surgery, and in 8 months I may have to redo the surgery and be admitted to into a hospital for 4 days, that's when the message came in about really, really understanding that the ascension path, especially for people like us and many of you watching, is not a joke. We really cannot joke around, fool around, play around. And right at that moment, we got the message saying there is a very high... The surgeon, when he came back, he literally said, I asked him, I said, is the fistula curable? He said, no, once it's there, it's there. So you have to get a surgery, because if not, I mean, you're going to risk infection for the rest of your life. At that moment, we got the message that there is a very, very, very high chance that Siman can completely heal this through energy healing. as long as we do consistent. This was just at the doctor's office. So then we came back and we really got the message. Oh my God, like Eldora, you really have to change your diet. You really have to drink more water. You really have to go, like, completely change your diet. Like, we went for hibachi last night and my guides were like, you can't eat this soy sauce. It's full of sodium. Things that we just take for granted are really, like, you can't have your, what are those vegetable tempura? They're covered in oil.
Yeah. So all these things that are not good for us, we have to drop, guys. Because what happens in this ascension path is that our cells start activating and we are going through a rapid ascension, not a normal ascension. Normally, this would take like hundreds of years, what we're doing in 1 year or
a few years,
a few months sometimes. It can feel like lifetimes. So this is a very clear message that all of us who are going through bodily issues like physical pain or any kind of like where you need surgery or it's become like extreme, it's just because our bodies have been trying to communicate with us and reach out to us. And when we keep hitting that ignore button, like, nope, sorry, I'm not available, then your body is going to say, no, you better be available because I'm going to make sure I grab your attention.
Yes,
so
for your good.
This is not to say that it's your fault, but it's to say that we really need a wake-up call. And sometimes the body's way of, the easiest way to get our attention is pain, right? Pay attention inward now, like Eldora says. So this is going to become critical. If we do not focus on our physical bodies right now, it's going to become critical. And I was not exempt from that.
He's been also suffering so much.
I went through the ringer over the last couple of weeks.
He hasn't been able to walk, like even in the solstice. Do you guys remember? He couldn't even sit up straight.
I was literally like supporting myself just to make videos and put on a smile, but it's not a walk in the park, this ascension, you guys.
So for him, tell him what happened.
I've had my L1 vertebrae like completely sprained, and my nervous system was just like in a shock state, and it froze all my back muscles
because the energy is so intense that if we are not on a 10 plus, like an A++ exercise regimen or a stretching regimen, it is really getting impossible for our bodies to cope with these energies.
So in my case, the physical symptoms appeared because I was processing a lot of family karma. And when the ascension energies get this intense, then it shows up as physical pain. So we really need to stay on top of our diets, drinking clean water, making sure we hit the gym, making sure we stretch out. Because otherwise, if it's like, imagine intense currents are running through your body, but when you don't stretch, when you don't work out, when you're not walking barefoot to ground, when you're not moving your body and giving it the movement and exercise that it needs, all of this intense electric current of the ascension is going to get stuck in pockets within your body. And this is what we want to address right now. So in both our cases, our healing, our physical symptoms were related to our root chakra. And the root chakra is one of the final stages of your ascension. So these tall whites and golden beings, the priests of ATLA-RA, they were showing me that the ascension process starts occurring by activating the DNA in our crown chakra. And because DNA is holographic, you can simultaneously start activating all dormant 10 strands of DNA and the first step that happens is you start receiving all of these ascension energies and you start feeling a connection with your higher self. Then these ascension energies go down into your third eye, your psychic senses awaken, it goes into your throat, you start realizing where you have communication issues, where you're not speaking your truth, then it goes into your heart and all of your relationship issues, all of your past hurts that you've been holding on to from lifetimes, they start surfacing. Then it goes into your solar plexus, wherever you're like playing small, wherever you're or being overly aggressive or being controlling and manipulative, all of that's going to show up in your solar plexus. These are all the initiations that we have to pass through. So our 7 chakras are like the 7 initiations of the ascension that we need to master. So when there's no particular order, it's not linear like this is going to go in order, but it's more like multi-dimensional. So you're going to be facing and clearing all of these karmic patterns, and eventually it's going to come down to your root chakra. So even me, for me, the problem was in my root chakra. It's my L1, which is just next to my tailbone. So they're showing us that once we clear our root chakra, then we create a pillar of light, and a gush of cosmic light goes from our crown and it goes down into earth, and then it's sent back as a beam of light from earth up our root chakra, and then it activates as our kundalini energy that spirals up our spinal column. And it when we awaken our kundalini energy, that's when we bring in the fifth dimensional blueprint of all of our chakras, and then we're ready to ascend. So nothing can be taken for granted, you guys. No one's going to do the work for you. And it's also to say that you can go at your own pace.
As long as you're making progress.
As long as you're making progress. But what a lot of light workers do is that they begin to spin their wheels. And that's where the problem occurs. If you keep repeating your old karmic patterns, like if you keep going back to abusive relationships because that's what you're used to, or you keep holding on to this job that's not resonating with you because you're in fear of how you're going to support yourself.
Or you know that this media, or watching a lot of these channels that are constantly talking about the politics and stuff, and they're more like to soothe your 4D thirst for hunger. You know that they don't make you feel good, but you're constantly going in them. Things are going to start blowing up in your face, because right now we're really we have to be very discerning in where our energy, where our focus goes. It's super important because we don't have time. 20 like this December solstice we're being shown is going to be a massive light burst.
There's going
like
to be
massive
a cleanse of there's going to be a cleanse taking place this winter of humanity, and there's going to be a huge dynamic shift, and we're going to talk about that.
I want to also tell them I want to tell them it's a kind of funny, but what do you do when you're in this situation? So when I was in the clinic yesterday, I was not in a good place, you guys. And many of you can resonate because you're in maybe you're in a very low situation. Maybe you're in a very dark situation. Many of you can resonate. But when you are in that situation, when I was in the situation, I literally said to Siman, I said, I was sitting in the hospital, freaking out. Like I could feel the pit of my stomach sinking. I felt like, how am I going to come out of this? I'm like a guide, like I'm a spiritual guide. If I can't get out of this, who can? So I'm going to give you a tip that Siman showed me, and my whole reality changed.
That was so funny.
It was hilarious. So we're sitting in the office waiting for this damn general surgeon in Mexico. Yes.
Okay, I found this hilarious. So, well, it wasn't a funny situation.
It was funny, but we make everything funny.
This particular situation was funny. Like Eldora was, she always like talks herself into a higher state, right? So obviously we're waiting to go to see a surgeon, and she's like kind of freaking out from inside. Like, I don't know what to expect. Is it going to be a surgery? How painful is it going to be? So suddenly I can see her vibration dipping with all this fear. And she's like, baby, I need some help. I need to realign myself because I'm dipping in my vibration. And I'm like, I can tell, I can see it in your aura.
I was going like
and
this.
And she's like, I'm trying to stay in gratitude, but it's not working. I don't know what to do.
Because gratitude is my go-to. I just go gratitude and everything works out.
Yeah. So I told her, why don't you speak to yourself as your higher self? And
he's like, gratitude's not going to cut it.
Just reorient your focus from your fear to your higher self, and talk to yourself as your most loving self, and see what messages come up.
Not loving self. Talk to yourself as your higher self. He's like, gratitude won't cut it. He says instead go into higher self mode.
So when she got that glimpse, she was like literally shifted in an instant. She was like, oh, what the hell? This is just an illusion. Why am I dipping in fear? Oh, I'm good. Like, fuck that.
Literally. Like, I had all of that in 30 seconds, you guys. I was like, oh, really?
It's like an instant reorientation.
Exactly. Because I can handle this. When I thought of it from my human, like I felt like I'm dipping like this, sinking like the Titanic. There's no hope. I'm going to have a surgery. Oh my God. Life is horrible. Earth is horrible. Everything. But then as soon as he said to me, he's like, no, gratitude's not going to cut it. What would your higher self say? I started looking at myself as my higher self. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a piece of cake. Even if I need surgery, like even now, there is a chance that in 8 months I may need surgery, or even before that, right? God forbid.
But we're going to try and heal it with energy healing.
Yeah,
we're working with some very powerful beings of light, and it's also activating for me to see what powers that I have activated that I'm not even aware of.
Yes.
So they were also showing us
how it's going to heal.
Yeah, they were also showing us that a lot of us light workers, because we're ascending at such a rapid pace, you need to stop and check in to see how powerful you're becoming, because we're not even keeping up with all of the changes. Many people in our soul family are reporting that for the first time they're seeing like soothing energy come out of their palms, and they're sending this healing energy to their husband, and the husband can tangibly feel this. And we've been through that 7 years ago when we first activated these gifts and abilities. But what our angels are showing us right now is that many of us have gone beyond that. We've gone into powers and abilities, and telepathic technologies have been activated within us that we're not even aware of. So when you start focusing in on all of your new gifts and abilities, you'll be surprised in a very pleasant way.
Yes.
So the way it's showing up in my reality, in our reality, is that we're being shown that even though this has become physical, whatever symptoms Eldora is going through, even physical symptoms can be literally, we can manipulate physical matter, because there's no physical, it's just illusion, right? Everything is energy. We're all particles of light vibrating at such a high frequency.
We're all holding you to it.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, so
I'm a case study now.
oh God, no! I don't
Yeah,
wish this
continue.
for anyone. But
I know,
but we
my
literally have
God.
the power to regenerate cells. So we literally have the power. Many of us are going to have the ability to shrink any disease, any tumor, any like things that have become physical. If we apply our energy on a consistent, disciplined, focused way, over time we can shrink all of these physical things like abscesses and fistulas, and any kind of problem can be solved with energy healing. But that is not to say that if you are going through, like, let's say cancer, you're just depending on energy healing. You need to balance the physical and the energy part. You can't just do energy. So in Eldora's case, if I just give her energy healing and then next day she goes and eats fries, it's not going to work.
And also, let's say he kept giving me energy healing, but we didn't even know what a fistula was 2 days ago. We're like, what the hell is that? So that's how uneducated we were. So when we went and did the CT scan and the fistulography, he literally said to the doctor, he's like, because he's also my doctor, right? He's like, send me all the charts. And he says, I know exactly what I'm working on. So
Yeah.
use medicine, use the science of medicine, where medicine still has a place in our lives. And then the good news is that once it's manifested in the physical, honestly, it gets harder to cure something. But in our case, all day today, our guides have been saying there's a very high chance you won't need surgery. Just hang in there, and really for the next 6 months, it's critical that you follow the messages that your body has been telling you, and you'll be fine. So guys, please say a prayer for me.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We're being shown very vividly and very clearly that we will get over this. And everyone who's going through such physical ascension symptoms, just focus on your perfected health blueprint and always hold that image, because the power of your imagination is what brings that etheric image of that reality where you're fully healed, and it merges into the current timeline. So you have to believe that you are healed.
Oh, and I have a mantra for you guys. I am, okay, say this out loud with me, okay? This is so perfect for this. Close your eyes, place your hand on your heart. I am whole.
I am whole.
I am complete.
I am complete.
I am healed.
I am healed.
Let's say this together 3 times, guys, all of us together. I am whole.
I am whole.
I am complete.
I am complete.
I am healed.
I am healed.
I am whole.
I am whole.
I am complete.
I am complete.
I am healed.
I am healed.
I am whole.
I am whole.
I am complete.
I am complete.
I am healed.
I am healed.
So say this every day. Use this mantra every single day. And in Siman's case, his vertebra is because, and a lot of this goes back to past lifetimes. A lot of this goes back to our childhood. In his case, it's because he lacked stability. Like even now sometimes, and any trauma that you have is not going with you to New Earth, especially for the leaders and the visionaries of New Earth. We cannot take anything. We're the ascended masters of New Earth, and no baggage is going there. No baggage. That's our soul contract. So if you have traumas of being ripped off in a foreign country, if you have traumas of going into hospitals like I did, if you had traumas of being around male nurses, even that was very spiritual for me to have 2 big fat, like big honking male nurses in a room alone. And I'm lying like, when I say fat, I mean like big guys. I'm lying there with nothing but like this gown on. And I felt Metatron and Yeshua and Sanat Kumara as the fathers guarding me because they wouldn't let him in. And it was very spiritual for me to feel safe in the company of completely, 3D sleep men. So it was a very spiritual. So all of this trauma is leaving me. Trauma of being, abused by men maybe in past lifetimes. Trauma of feeling this pain. Trauma of being scared to be ripped off or being. Hospitals make me nervous. And for him, it's stability. He has trauma of not having stability, and I'm sure many of you can relate. And this trauma is showing up in his back. So none of this is going with us. We have to right now do the work. We have to get into the trauma healing. We have to really reassure ourselves that we are safe. We are okay. We are protected.
Yeah.
And we need to embody it in every breath we take. Whew.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to mention here that many of us are feeling this collective fatigue where we feel that we're not going to be able to survive for much longer if things keep getting more and more intense. And there's some channelings out there that I've even seen people on our soul family share certain channelings that by the end of this year, there's just going to be a huge event that's just going to clear all the 3D density. And it's just going to be a blast of love, and that we're no longer going to have to struggle, and new earth will suddenly appear out of nowhere, and that that's it. Our hardships are over, so we just have to hold on until the end of the year. But the thing is, we're being reminded, folks, here that do not pin your hopes on any particular timeline. Any channeling that says this will happen by this date, it's like putting your hopes into nothingness. There's no foundation for it.
And instead of thinking of a date, think of a period.
Yeah.
So think of think of 2012 to 2032 and think of it as if you're in the midpoint.
Yeah.
Think of how much change has happened since 2012. That's remember when 9/11 went down, many of us had our first awakening of, oh my God, maybe the government did, we had an awakening, a mini awakening.
There was a subconscious awakening.
And 2012 is when we had our soul contract activated to meet, to meet and get on our divine mission. That's when my father passed away and I had my awakening, and within 6 months or 3 months I met him. So 2012 was a major year. 2020 is another major year. 2032. So think of the period between now and 2032 instead of thinking, oh, by this December we'll be in New Earth.
So to be very realistic with everyone, the roadmap that we've been shown by the Galactics is that this change, this shift that we're going through is going to take some time. So hang on in there. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but we all have the strength and ability to come together as a soul family and support each other. So the way we're being shown that since 2020, since this pandemic started and the whole world got this shock, and we've hit the brakes in our lives, so to speak. And then we're seeing all these jabs rolling out, all these new complications happening physically in people, and people are literally some people are passing away from it, others are developing physical issues, and there's all this split occurring. We can see the visible split between 3D and 5D. And
it's never been this visible, you guys.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's so visible. In the first 10 seconds or 20 seconds or at most 2 minutes of talking to someone, you know exactly where they stand.
These days, we just pass by people we're walking by in this resort, and we can see someone's aura is completely gray and they don't even register in our mind. And other people who are joyful, you can see their aura from a distance, and you know that you're just going to see them and they're going to make eye contact and they're going to smile and you're going to smile because we're on the same frequency. And
that's very rare. That's very rare.
Yeah.
We don't feel that in not one person.
Common.
It's not common. And we asked our guides this yesterday. We said, okay, in this whole 3D illusion, we don't want to sit and talk to these, tourists and talk about shoot the shit and be all fake. All of those guys were so fake with the server and taking videos and blah, blah, blah. But at the end, when they had to give a tip, not one of them gave a tip. So it's all fake. You know what I mean? It's you guys know what I mean? They're not heart-centered and we don't have any resonance with them. So Simran and I asked our guides, we said, but why don't we feel a resonance with any of them, and why is it okay? And you know what they said? Because they don't belong in your world. So it's not rude. You are in your world, because we are very in our world. We don't say hello. When we left the hibachi table, we don't say bye.
We even stayed on one side because the rest of the people on our table were just making this small talk that doesn't resonate with us. And it's okay for you not to have to pretend any longer. You don't have to make small talk. If you're not resonating with someone, you just simply stay in your own lane.
In your bubble.
Yeah, stay in your bubble. And that's how we focus more on our inward ascension rather than just dissipating our energy with all these useless chit chats and all these relationships that are no longer resonating with us. And our angels are showing us that a lot of things need to happen before the event takes place. So those of us who are not aware what the event is, we're being shown that there will be a grand solar flash at some point in Earth where a lot of this 3D density will just be shaken off, and all of the particles of planet Earth will be upgraded to a 5D frequency, and literally Earth will no longer be the same. But for that to happen, a lot of things need to be cleared from our current reality. So one of those, maybe the arrest of all the dark people need to take place.
Which is already happening at a big scale behind the scenes. It's like literally like Earth right now is Operation Cleanup.
Yeah.
So don't go into the optics of what's being shown. Don't go into the optics of anything, because because they cannot possibly show you what's going on. They are not supposed to and meant to show you. The optics are just a distraction so that all of this, it's like a whole planet is being cleared and cleaned. It's a cleanup operation, you guys.
Yeah, and Nasara, Jasara, all of that needs to be rolled out. There has to be a complete reworking of the financial system. All of the rescues of the human trafficking systems need to be complete. So basically, we're not there yet. The next couple of years are just going to be this cleanup operation. And we're being shown that August 8, 2024, which is the 888 portal, will be the major turning point before Earth starts seeing less of the chaos and confusion. And all the years following will be more of an ascension and very exciting phase. So 2024 will be like the turning point. And from there forward until 2032, we're just going to be recalibrating to these new 5D frequencies. And 2032, 33, 34 will be the time frame where we can expect a major solar flash to take place, which is going to shift us into this new age. So hold on to your horses. We're not there yet. There's work to do. But we're all here together and we're strong.
And I want to add to a little bit of what he said. That does not mean that the next 2 to 4 years or the next 1 year has to be hard. This is just a cleanup time in your lives. We've been through this hardship when we had to clear everything. Like he's been through a 6-year, the worst court battle that you can imagine, because it was fueled by resentment from his ex-wife. We've been through that. We've been through my divorce. Like it was horrible. Horrible. We've been through 2 horrible divorces. We've been through the selling of all our 3D properties and really untethering ourselves from all these properties back in Toronto. We've been through all the issues with our kids, our teenage children, like my son. Many of you know the story. So we've been through he quitting his job, me selling my business. We've been through all that. We've cleared all that. We've gotten rid of all our friends that were not serving us. We've gotten rid of all these 3D tethers, and now we're in calmer waters where we can focus on our health, we can focus on our well-being, and we can focus on our what we want to do for planet Earth. All of this has happened in the last few years. So just know that it's not meant to be hard. It is meant to be accelerated. It's meant to be rapid. But we're also being prepared in 2022 for the House of Ra parties. We're being prepared for like light worker conferences. And so why would that even come into our vortex if this was a period of just, like a doomsday? So yes, it is going to be very intense, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Anything that's not meant to be in alignment in your vortex will just be wiped off. And I'll give you a personal tip. If you guys sit and sulk about everything that you consider a loss, or you're losing a friendship, if you guys sit and sulk about it, it is going to be very hard. But if you write it saying, hey, you know what, this is great, the universe is cleansing my life, it's not in alignment, this person is in alignment, that person is in alignment, my mother is in alignment, my ex-husband is in alignment, I'm ready to let it all go and tie a bow and say thank you, I love you, I forgive you. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and let it go. Because you have work to do, and it's not going to be hard. So even though he said there's work to do, it doesn't have to be hard. And there are periods, like Siman and I were in a very dark place the last 3 days. Very painful place, very physically painful place. I couldn't even sit, I couldn't sit, he couldn't walk. Just think about it. And that's why our guide said we brought you into an all-inclusive resort in Mexico before all of this came in. So you have your breakfast taken care of, you have room service 24/7, you have 6 restaurants to choose from. You see how perfect the universe is? Just know that your guides are working with you. Your guides are working with you, and they are supporting you, and they are lining up things for you in the craziest way. So don't, like, if we both said, oh my God, how did this happen in Mexico? How horrible. See the blessing in everything. Yes, it happened in Mexico, but guess what? I kind of like hit 2 birds with 1 stone. I got the trauma healing out, I got the hospital trauma out, and I met a doctor, and I met the perfect doctor who didn't cheat me and say, yeah, come in for surgery on Thursday. That was a blessing. Maybe if I had gone in Costa Rica or even in Canada, they would have operated me on Thursday and not given me another option. So look at everything in your life as a blessing, and know with surety that your guides, your team of guides, are working with you. They're working for you. And I'll tell you why. You are doing great service for them. You are doing great service for the planet. So it's not like the guides are just helping you because that's their job or they have nothing else to do. You are so important to the grand plan. The guides are not on earth. You are. We are.
Yeah.
We are the ground crew, as we've said many times.
We took the hardest job.
Yes, we have taken the hardest job. So when you are in a state like the 2 of us were the last 3 days, going into hospitals, waiting for so long and having so much physical pain, it is okay to hold yourself in a loving embrace and say, this too shall pass. I will ride through this. Instead of going into victim consciousness, which is very hard. Like even for us, we're like, this is getting too hard. Yeah. And this morning, I was crying. Just 3 hours ago, I was sitting in my balcony, bawling. And Siman said, you know, baby, this is the perfect time to say a prayer. And I said a prayer. And let's say it right now for all of humanity. I called in Metatron. Let's do it right now. So I call in Divine Father, Divine Mother, Metatron, Yeshua, Melchizedek, Isis, Mother Mary, and all beings of light, 5D or higher, to come into this circle and bless this affirmation, to bless this prayer. We are on earth, we are the ground crew, and we're telling you that these ascension energies are intense. And yes, our bodies are not able to cope with them at many times. Our bodies are finding it hard. We call in the galactics, we call in Ashtar to this circle. Our bodies are getting whipped, for lack of a better term, and we ask you all for your loving assistance. Please watch over the light workers. Please upgrade our bodies. Please send us higher codes, higher perfected blueprints for our physical bodies so that we can ride these changes with ease and grace. It is not easy, and we ask for all of these affirmations to be blessed by the highest councils of the heaven, to be blessed by Prime Creator, to be blessed by Source. And we ask for a magical healing of our light bodies, of our physical bodies, so that we can go about and do our work, our divine work, our soul's work with ease and grace, and with the tenacity required to survive and sustain this very dense planet in this extremely pivotal and extremely challenging time. May it be so for the highest good of all. I am asking for all light workers to be cocooned in a beautiful healing frequency right now. And for this healing frequency to upgrade every single person on this planet, especially the ones who are here to do their soul's work, especially for them. Please make it easy for us, guys. Make it easy for us. Give us all the tools, give us all the upgrades, and be creative. Find new ways to give us upgrades. We need more upgrades. We need more help. We need more assistance. Please take this up, and we expect that this will be done. and it
too
is
shall
done.
pass.
And this too shall pass. This is done. Thank you guys, and all of you may leave our circle now, and we know that we are in your loving grace. We
May
feel
go in
your
peace.
love. Go in peace, and we look forward to some of the upgrades. We look forward.
We need some help.
We need some
Come
help.
on.
Yes. So I was sitting in the balcony bawling, and I made this prayer, but I was bawling and I was saying all this, and I felt it was very powerful, because when you're crying and when you're emotional, it's most tangible. So guys, just I hope this helps. We have so much to share, but we're already at an hour, so I think if you have anything,
we'll
let's wrap it up.
And the biggest blessing right now is that we have each other. We have our soul family, and we're beginning to connect with each other. Many people from our soul family are already meeting up, and we're
Yes.
being shown that as the doorways open of the 3D matrix for us to travel around the world again, we're seeing amazing timelines. So we're seeing chaos and
Yes.
confusion in the 3D timelines, but we're seeing so much joy and excitement as light workers finally meet each other and start having events and celebrations. So all of that is coming in the next few years.
Next
the hard
year.
part's over, because we are going to be supporting each other more and more and become one cohesive network and support system. So it's going to become easier. The hard part's over.
Yes, yes. And the hard part is also here by design.
Yes.
We consider it hard, but think of it as an accelerated ascension path.
Yeah.
We think of it as hard, but instead of spending
Just
5
reframe it.
lifetimes, reframe it. Instead of spending 5 lifetimes trying to get rid of like things that don't serve you, just get rid of it and move on. And then it'll get easier. And then you take one day at a time. Like with me, with what I'm going through, I have to take one day at a time. I can't start freaking out that in 8 months I may need a very crazy surgery where they
that's
cut
key.
through. That's going to freak me out. That's going to put me in a state of fear, and my vibration will go down. Instead, I'm saying I'm taking one day at a time, and I'm asking for a miracle healing. I'm asking for an instant healing, because I'm here to do God's work, and God has my back. And have that faith in every aspect
Yeah.
of your lives, because that faith is going to carry you through this storm.
Yeah.
Love you, soul family. I love you so much. Take care. Be well. And I look forward to hearing from you. Comment below. I want to hear from you. We usually read a lot of your comments. We feel your love. What else? Yeah, I guess that's it.
Until next time.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.